My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I've been thinking a lot about a quote by Oscar Wilde. It keeps popping up in my brain, and then it popped into my Facebook feed, and every time it does, I'm just like, oh, yeah. I'll just read you the quote first. If you want to tell people the truth, make them laugh. Otherwise, they'll kill you. And I keep thinking about that. And I'm wondering if I'm doing this YouTube thing all wrong. Instead of telling you the truth as I see it, sharing with you the ways that I believe things exist, although, I'm not being killed over it, I'm wondering if I'm going about this the right way. Maybe what I really need to do is not just have a quote that's been making me think, but also maybe coming at everybody with some humor. And also I was explaining the meaning behind a song to somebody who was a little bit younger, in their mid-30s. And so literally, half my age. And it was a song, from the late 70s, early 80s, I think. And it didn't click. It didn't click in their brain. And it was a song by the band Rush. And what I had to explain is that a couple of songs all linked together, and that the song itself is about a dystopian future, or maybe even a dystopian now, that was akin to the book 1984 by George Orwell. And of course, they hadn't read 1984 by George Orwell. It's so difficult. Because there are so many people, very nice people, well-intentioned people, whatever you want to say, that may exceed in some other aspect of their life. This person was very talented with computer programming. It just all makes sense to them, right? And so I ended up going all the way back to Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, and then working my way back forward. Utilizing Hayek and Hazlitt and Sowell and so many of the great minds to just help this person understand the meaning behind a 3-minute long song. And when I got done with it, they were like, wow, really? It means all of that? Yeah, it does. Oh, I don't like the song anymore. I'm never going to listen to it again. What? They weren't my child. If they were my child, I'd have grabbed him. Or even if they were the husbands of one of my daughters, I'd have grabbed him by the collar and slapped some sense into him. Come on, man. Come on. And, you know, it takes me back to the education system. Is it this guy's fault that he didn't learn nothing else? They probably plugged him into a computer, you know, before he started going to school. Why would he know anything else? And he doesn't. And he's a nice enough guy. It's just ignorance at that level leads to totalitarianism. Of course, not by him, but others that seek control. And if you don't know what it looks like, how are you going to know? When you're that frog sitting in that pot of water, and it starts all cold, and you're all, and then it warms up, you're feeling, that's pretty nice. Before you know it, you're cooked. How are you going to be able to recognize that you're being cooked? I see it online all the time. Oh, I see it in many of my dear friends and family members who know better. You know better. But because something that somebody says out there in the political realm agrees with their blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. God, I'm so sick of it. Sick of it. And they just go along with it. A couple of very intelligent friends of mine from work, they both got master's degrees and they're educated and yada, yada, yada. And they will literally defend the most ludicrous, as long as it goes along with their party affiliation. This is how we slide. Headlong. Into tyranny and oppression. How could it possibly lead anywhere else? The answer is that it can't. Now we're back in another never-ending war. I just saw a thing from members of the Pentagon saying that the Ukraine conflict is going to be a protracted war that could last over 10 years. And may never end with a satisfactory resolution. Great. Wonderful. I hope you're all happy. And you don't think pretty soon we're going to follow the shit we did in Afghanistan and Vietnam and all these other little places around the world? You know we will. We've already sent $120 billion to the Ukraine. $120 billion. Do you know what $120 billion could do at home? It could pay off 100% of the student debt out there held by these financial organizations that screw people over day in, day out. Oh, there'd be plenty enough money left over to guess what? To house all of the homeless people in the United States for the next 10 years. Oh, that's not enough for you? How about universal health care? You could have had universal health care. And whether you agree with those things or not, $120 billion. And if you want to talk about education, remember, I was there. All right? I saw these kids getting screwed over buying degrees that do nothing for them out in the workplace. Nothing. They're being told that they need something as a ticket of entry. And they spend their parents' hard-earned money, or they spend their future earnings thinking that they're going to get something out of it. Yeah, they got something out of it. They got screwed. And now when people go, oh, you know, we should do something to help pay off the student debt, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah. But we should also sanction those schools who don't teach shit. I literally saw a course being offered at a university. I guess it was for fun. Underwater basket weaving. Now, granted, it was a dexterity program for folks who were studying marine biology, all right, and doing things underwater, right? Even so, underwater basket weaving. I look at the homeless crisis in America and I shake my head. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. Have you been to LA? Have you been to Portland? Have you been to Seattle? Have you been to San Francisco? Remember they used to say the streets of San Francisco were paved with gold. Yeah, except for now it's golden human feces. You know, we've got old military bases sitting empty. Sitting empty. All of the dormitories and the housing and everything else. Yet at the same time, we let 3 million people come in across the border illegally last year. You can't blame them. They're following a demand signature. We put out there the idea that, man, you get across the border, you're scot-free. And so they come, hoping for a better life for them and their children, and then they get here and they owe money to the drug cartels and the coyotes, and they oftentimes can't get a job legally, and so they end up selling fentanyl. Oh, goodness. I just want to scream. I guess I have been ranting. Same thing for universal health care. At least at a basic level. We could have easily paid for that. But no. No. We need to pump money into the military-industrial complex. Because there's another country out there in the world that is starving for freedom. Now, don't look at the man behind the curtain, because it's us. We are the frickin' Wizard of Oz. Because what did we do? We created that conflict. We created that conflict by proposing that NATO move up to right on Russia's borders. That's number one. Number two, we created 32 or more, but we don't know how many more, 32 chem labs like the one in Wuhan, China, in order to study things and do so outside of the purview of the USDA and everybody else. We were forcibly converting their economy over to petrodollars rather than them being on the Russian ruble. That's just the top three. We created this. And I think purposefully. I mean, how can you spend more money on the military-industrial complex if all of your stockpiles of missiles are just sitting there unused? Why, of course you need more. And not just more, you need better. And oh, did you see that the new 6th generation fighter plane is being worked on? It's only a couple $1 a piece. It's nothing. Nothing. But you look around the world, and you know that the equipment that they're using around the world, we would overrun anything that's out there in a matter of hours, utilizing equipment that we were using in the 70s. Unless there's something I don't know and extraterrestrials are getting ready to invade and we need sixth generation fighters in order to be able to get into combat with whatever's coming down from the sky. And you don't think that those rotten bastards who are putting this stuff into place in the swamp, you know where I'm talking about, You don't think that those folks ain't stuffing their pockets full of money? I don't know. The only way that they can get away with doing that is with a population predominantly filled by the ignorant. And I'm not talking about educated. Do they have a university degree? I'm not talking about that. You know me. I got lots of those. Guess what? I know lots of people who are the most ignorant morons you could possibly imagine. And they're university professors. My former peers. Teaching in the ivory palace. In the ivory tower, I should say. Ain't got the sense that God gave geese. All right, folks, I'm getting worked up.